I've always believed that revenge tastes better when served with dessert. And let me tell you, I've had my fill of both. The night I watched my husband's face drain of color as I handed proof of his affair to every single guest at our 10-year anniversary party, chef's kiss. But, oh, that was just the opening act. See, I didn't just catch them cheating. I turned their lives to ash. Financially, socially, emotionally. They never saw it coming because they thought I was Lana, the mature one, the understanding wife, the one who would roll over, smile politely, and accept their modern arrangement. Let me back up. I was the perfect wife. No, really, I was. I built a design empire from scratch, never asked my husband Mark for a dime, but I still showed up like the dutiful partner. Cooked. Occasionally, look, I'm a boss, not Julia Child. Threw dinner parties. Supported him when his startup floundered for the first 3 years. I even helped my little sister Sophie get her PR career off the ground, tossing her client referrals like candy at a parade. I didn't expect a parade in return, but I did expect loyalty. Instead, I got this. It started small, little things. Mark's sudden enthusiasm for working late. Sophie laughing at jokes I didn't even know she'd understand. Inside glances. Whispered conversations that trailed off the moment I walked into a room. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I was too busy with work. Maybe I wasn't fun enough. But one night, Mark left his laptop open. Rookie mistake, buddy, and curiosity got the best of me. There it was. A string of emails, titled like the beginning of a bad romance novel. Last night was amazing. She'll never suspect a thing. Can't wait for our work trip next weekend. It wasn't just anyone, it was Sophie. My sister. My flesh and blood. The girl I once taught how to French braid, now stabbing me between the shoulder blades with a stiletto heel. I wish I could say I screamed. Threw things. Cried. But no. I sat there numb, rereading every word. Every message where they plotted their little affair, making me out to be some oblivious, uptight nag. That's when I realized I wasn't going to confront them. Oh no. That would have been too easy. I was going to destroy them. Slowly, carefully, and publicly. Because if there's one thing I do better than anyone else, I design. And baby, I was about to design the perfect downfall. So, now that I knew Mark and Sophie were playing a little game behind my back, the logical next step should have been a confrontation, right? Wrong. Confronting them would have made me feel better for maybe 5 minutes, but they would have twisted it. Gaslit me until I questioned if I was the problem. Lana, you work too much. Maybe we're just better connected. You should really consider modern marriage dynamics. I could practically hear the garbage they'd spew. Nah, I wasn't giving them that power. Instead, I started planning. First step? Surveillance. I didn't know the first thing about hiring private investigators. This wasn't a Lifetime movie. I didn't know a guy named Tony with binoculars and a leather jacket. So I did what any resourceful woman would do. I asked my divorced friend Ashley, who'd caught her ex-husband cheating with his secretary, for her PI's number. Bless her petty little heart. I set up a meeting at a discreet cafe because, yes, I have a flair for the dramatic now, and in walked Maya and Sam, partners in both business and, apparently, love. The PI power couple. She wore heels sharp enough to stab someone. He had the quiet menace of a man who could end you with a single look. Tell us what you need, Maya said, crossing her legs like we were about to discuss a hostile takeover. I laid it all out. The affair. The betrayal. The anniversary party coming up. They exchanged a glance, then Maya smiled, the same kind of smile I'd give a client when I know we're about to crush the competition. "We'll get you everything you need," she promised. And boy, did they deliver. Over the next 2 months, I ran my life like normal, or at least I pretended to. Mark kept coming home late, making up stories about work dinners and networking events. Sophie? She'd pop by my house with faux concern, bringing me takeout and asking how I was holding up, playing the sweet sister act to a T. Meanwhile, Maya and Sam were sending me daily updates. Photos of Sophie and Mark checking into hotels. Bank transfers where Mark funneled company money into a separate account, probably to fund their little getaways. Sophie bragging about me being too clueless to notice to one of her PR buddies over brunch. Honestly, if my life were a movie, I'd have thrown popcorn at the screen. But here's where I leveled up. I decided to turn my anniversary party into the ultimate stage, because if there's one thing Mark and Sophie valued, status. They thrived on admiration, on having people envy their lives. So I gave them what they wanted. A rooftop venue with city skyline views. 5-star catering, Mark's favorite oysters, because I'm a petty perfectionist. Everyone who mattered, our friends, family, clients, investors. I sold it as a celebration of love and success. Mark practically glowed when I pitched the idea, thinking I was buying into the perfect facade. But here's the kicker. Maya and Sam weren't just investigators. I hired their team as the event staff. Bartenders, waiters, coat check. They'd blend in, but they'd also be gathering every scrap of intel, overheard conversations, shady business talk, anything I could use to twist the knife deeper. And I wasn't done. I started buying out Mark's business partners quietly, using shell companies. He didn't even realize I was his biggest competitor now. Oh, and Sophie? I planted false leads for her career, a big client, that turned out to be a dead end, a networking event that didn't exist. Watching her spiral from minor setbacks while she thought her life was thriving? Delicious. By the time the party rolled around, I had everything I needed. The evidence, the power, and the perfect audience. But I still had one more surprise up my sleeve. You ever plan something so well, so precisely, that it feels like you're watching it from the outside? That's how I felt standing there in my crimson dress, drink in hand, greeting guests with a smile that said, "I know something you don't." This wasn't just a party. This was the slaughterhouse. And I was about to lead Mark and Sophie straight to the chopping block, all while they smiled for the cameras. Let me paint you a picture. The venue was stunning rooftop, sweeping city views, fairy lights strung like stars. The kind of place where everyone sips overpriced champagne and pretends they're more important than they are. Mark loved that kind of scene. Sophie, too. She wore this ridiculous little sequin number that screamed, "Look at me," which, knowing what I knew, was almost too on the nose. Guests filed in, our friends, or so I thought, family, Mark's business partners, Sophie's PR cronies. The vibe was perfect. Warm. Excited. Everyone's so ready to celebrate 10 years of love. Even I had to admire my own acting skills. Mark was on top of the world, laughing too loud, making speeches about power couples and building a future together, which, now that I think about it, I should have recorded for ironic posterity. But here's the thing about playing a long game. You need to enjoy every second of it. I mingled, made eye contact with Sophie across the room. She smiled at me like she pitied me. Poor Lana, too busy with work to notice her sister and husband were playing tonsil hockey behind her back. If I'd been a lesser woman, I might have cracked. But no, I just sipped my champagne. Because I knew what was coming. The traps were already set. Maya and Sam? In full stealth mode. Sam was bartending, overhearing Mark's business partners bragging about some shady deals Mark wasn't supposed to be doing without my signature. Maya? Circulating as a server, dropping appetizers and picking up snippets of conversation, smiling sweetly at Sophie's PR friends while gathering blackmail fuel. The dossiers sealed, crisp, filled with all the dirty little secrets, were lined up in the back room, ready to be passed out like party favors. And the piece de resistance? A video montage queued up and ready to play on the giant screen Mark insisted we rent. He wanted to show off pictures from our trips, our happy memories. Oh, honey, there were going to be memories, all right. Here's where I let myself be a little evil. I gave them one more drink, let Mark stand on stage and toast me. To Lana, he said, smug as ever, one arm around my waist, the other raised with his glass. The woman who stood by me for a decade. Here's to 10 more years. I smiled for the cameras, leaned into him, and whispered, you might want to sit down for this. Then I took the microphone. Thank you all for being here tonight, I began, my voice steady, warm even. 10 years is a long time. It takes work, commitment, trust. I glanced at Sophie, who raised her glass back at me, not knowing she was seconds away from public execution. And sometimes, trust gets broken. I snapped my fingers. The waitstaff, Maya's crew, handed out the envelopes, one for every guest. Gold embossed, tasteful because I don't do tacky. The room quieted as they opened them. At first, a few gasps, then murmurs. Eyes darting toward Mark. Sophie, then back at me. I let it sit. Let it burn. On the giant screen, the montage started rolling. Except it wasn't vacation pictures. No, it was photos of Mark and Sophie, checking into hotels, kissing behind corners, her hand on his thigh during a family dinner I hosted. The room erupted. Mark lunged toward me, face pale, sputtering. Lana, wait, we can talk about this. I stepped back, holding the mic like it was a weapon. Oh, we're just getting started. And trust me, we were. Let me tell you, public humiliation? That's just the appetizer. Don't get me wrong, watching Mark turn 7 shades of pale while Sophie looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole? Delicious. I could have ended it there, left the party in chaos and called it a win. But no, this wasn't about making a scene. This was about burning their lives to the ground, piece by piece, while they stood there choking on the ashes. Because betrayal? That's not something you slap a Band-Aid on. It's something you excavate. And I wanted to make damn sure they felt the void where their comfortable little world used to be. As the montage ended, finishing with a truly cinematic zoom-in of Sophie's hand inside Mark's back pocket outside a hotel, I took a step forward. The room was dead silent. All you could hear was the clink of a single glass someone dropped. Mark was frozen, mouth half open, looking like a man who'd forgotten how to breathe. Sophie? She was staring at the envelopes in people's hands like they might burst into flames. Which, honestly, would have been a mercy. But I wasn't done. Now, I know this might be shocking, I said, feigning sympathy as I gripped the mic tighter. But I thought, if we're going to be honest tonight, let's be all the way honest, shall we? I nodded toward the bar. Sam, disguised as the world's calmest bartender, tapped a few keys on his laptop, and the screen changed. Spreadsheets, wire transfers, offshore accounts, all neatly lined up. See, while Mark was busy, I continued, voice syrupy sweet, he wasn't just betraying me emotionally. He was siphoning funds from our joint accounts, using company money to pay for those little trysts. And that's illegal. I turned to Mark's business partners, those smug guys who had been patting him on the back all night. And you fine gentlemen? You might want to check your portfolios. Mark's been playing fast and loose with your investments. And now the IRS knows about it. The color drained from their faces faster than red wine down Sophie's throat at brunch. Then came the reveal. Now, I know you're probably wondering what happens next, I said, turning back to Mark, who looked like he wanted to jump off the rooftop. Well, Mark, remember those shares you thought you owned in our company? Surprise! I bought out your silent partners months ago, through a few shell companies. You don't own squat. I watched his jaw clench. His breathing turned sharp and fast, like he was about to pop a vein. But hey, I'm feeling generous, I added with a grin. I'll let you keep the custom cufflinks I got you for our 5th anniversary. You know, as a souvenir. And Sophie? Sweet, deluded Sophie. I turned to her. You've been working so hard to build your PR career, haven't you? Those big opportunities that kept falling through? That's because I sent them. Every one of them. Fake clients, fake leads. Hell, I even had one of Maya's people pose as a headhunter to string you along for 3 months. Her jaw dropped. But don't worry, Sophie. I've saved the best for you. I reached into my clutch and pulled out a deed. You remember Grandma's apartment? The one you love so much? Well, turns out I own it now. Bought it quietly when you were too busy screwing my husband. I smiled, tilting my head like I was sharing a recipe. Oh, and I've already changed the locks. I hope you packed light. The room stayed frozen for a beat. And then? Mark lunged toward me. You can't do this. You've ruined me. I set down the mic, leaned in close, and whispered. No, Mark. You ruined yourself. I just made sure everyone got a front row seat. If you thought I was done after dismantling Mark and Sophie's entire existence in front of a rooftop full of witnesses, honey, you don't know me yet. Because there was one more set of players in this tragicomedy of betrayal. My parents. The ones who told me to be mature. The ones who clutched their pearls and whispered, relationships are complicated, Lana. Who knew what was going on between Mark and Sophie and chose to gaslight me into thinking I was just overreacting? Oh, sweethearts. I wasn't overreacting. I was plotting. So, let's rewind a bit, back to when I first uncovered the affair. When my parents dared to imply that I should accept it, that I was the problem for not being flexible enough. I smiled. I nodded. I let them believe their delusion. But in the back of my mind, I remembered something very important. Their house. That charming 2-story home they loved so much. The one they bragged about owning outright. Yeah, that was thanks to me. See, after my business took off, I helped them out with a little gift. Paid off their mortgage because they were struggling with debt at the time, and I'm a good daughter like that. Except they seemed to forget that detail when they decided to side with my cheating husband and sister. So, while I was buying out Mark's business partners and setting up Sophie's career to implode, I made one more phone call to my lawyer. At the party, as Mark sputtered about ruined reputations and Sophie stood frozen with that "how is this my life" expression, I turned toward my parents. They were sitting there, mouths agape, like they'd just realized they backed the wrong horse. Mom, Dad, I began, walking toward them slowly, holding up the deed to their house like it was the final piece on a chessboard. You remember this? Mom blinked. Lana, what are you doing? Dad stood up, trying to regain some control. Lana, honey, let's not, this is family business. I smiled. Exactly. I held up the deed. I own this. I paid off your mortgage 5 years ago, remember? And just this week, I signed the paperwork to put it on the market. Mom gasped, clutching her pearls for real this time. You can't do that. Oh, I can. And I have. I could feel the entire room leaning in like this was better than Netflix. You told me to be mature, I said, letting my voice soften, lacing it with just enough venom. You told me to accept betrayal like it was my fault. So I figured if I'm not really your daughter in the way that matters, then you probably don't need the house I helped you keep. Dad's face turned a shade of red I hadn't seen since that time he got heatstroke at Disneyland. Where are we supposed to go? Mom gasped. I shrugged. Maybe you can ask Sophie. I hear she's got a new place. Oh wait. The silence was delicious. You could practically hear the collective shattering of egos. And just for the cherry on top, I raised my glass, smiled sweetly at the room, and said, to family, may we all know our worth and never settle for less. Then I walked off that rooftop like a damn queen. But trust me, the story doesn't end there. So, here's the thing about public scandals, they don't just happen. You gotta orchestrate them. And trust me, I didn't spend months meticulously plotting Mark's, Sophie's, and my parents' downfall only to let it fizzle out in one glorious rooftop detonation. No, darling. That was just Act 1. Because if there's anything Mark and Sophie loved more than screwing each other behind my back, it was their image. They lived for likes, for validation, for the performance of perfection. So I made sure the world got front row seats. Here's how it went down. The morning after the party, while Mark was probably lying awake in a cold sweat and Sophie was sobbing into some overpriced organic pillow, I made my final move. I opened my laptop, took a deep breath, and sent an anonymous tip to every media outlet that mattered. The finance blogs, local entrepreneurs' shady dealings exposed, IRS investigation underway. The society pages, high society love triangle implodes at anniversary gala. The PR industry forums, up-and-coming PR agent caught in scandal, career in question. And because I'm nothing if not thorough, I sent leaks to a few key influencers too. The ones Sophie used to kiss up to for exposure. The same ones who would salivate over juicy gossip. Oh, and I attached screenshots, photos, receipts, the whole package. I basically gift-wrapped their downfall and mailed it to the internet. It took less than 24 hours. By noon, my phone was blowing up. Friends, colleagues, even clients calling to ask, Lana, is this real? I played it cool. Oh, I really couldn't say. You know how rumors are. Then I'd smile into my coffee cup like a cat watching the canary twitch. But the headlines? They did the work for me. Affair and fraud? Local businessman's empire crumbles amid scandal. From PR starlet to pariah, Sophie's career in freefall. Family betrayal goes viral. Sister exposes affair and embezzlement at anniversary party. And the comments section? A gold mine of schadenfreude. OMG, this is better than reality TV. Imagine cheating on your wife with her sister and then getting exposed like this. Lana's a legend. I want to buy her a drink. I'll admit, the validation felt damn good. But what felt better? Knowing Mark's investors pulled out. Sophie's PR contacts ghosted her. My parents' social circle disintegrated overnight. Their reputations were radioactive. But I wasn't just about destruction. Oh no, Lana gives back. So I made a charitable donation to a nonprofit for women rebuilding after betrayal. Publicly. Announced it on my socials. With gratitude for the support I've received, I'm paying it forward. The likes and shares? Exploded. I became the woman who stood up for herself, the face of graceful revenge. Some people might have thought I'd done enough. I mean, after obliterating Mark's finances, crushing Sophie's career, evicting my parents, and feeding their dirty laundry to the media wolves, I could have just ridden off into the sunset. But no, that's not my style. Because there's something about making your enemies twist, seeing them squirm under the polite veneer of civility, that just hits different. So here's what I did. About 6 months later, after the dust settled, after Mark's IRS audit was in full swing and Sophie was working some entry-level admin job under a fake name, I planned something special. A charity gala. But not just any gala. This was an event for a cause very close to my heart. Women rebuilding their lives after betrayal and financial abuse. Fitting, right? A little on the nose? Good. It was elegant. Black tie. Held at one of those swanky downtown venues with chandeliers so big they look like they could crush a person. You know, the kind of place Mark and Sophie used to love showing off in. And I sent invitations. Handwritten. Embossed. One to Mark. One to Sophie. One to my parents. Because while they were busy licking their wounds, I wanted to remind them that I'm thriving. And to make sure they knew they weren't invited as guests, oh no. They were the entertainment. The invitation read, Lana Reeves cordially invites you to the Empower Her Charity Gala, supporting women rebuilding after betrayal. Your presence is requested, not required. The evening promises to be unforgettable. A touch cruel? Sure, but I figured after everything they stole from me, they deserved a little discomfort. Did they show up? Of course not. But everyone knew they'd been invited. That was the point. The whispers started as soon as guests arrived. Did you hear she invited Mark and Sophie? Oof, I would have died. She's savage, but in the best way. Their absence became the headline. And just to twist the knife a little more, I donated $100,000 in Mark's name. Made a big show of it. To honor the lessons I've learned, I said into the mic, smiling sweetly. Without certain individuals, I wouldn't be standing here today. The applause? Thunderous. I could almost hear Mark choking on whatever cheap whiskey he was probably drinking at home. But the absolute cherry on top? The charity's new program, the Sophie Scholarship. A grant for women starting over after toxic relationships. Named, of course, in honor of the woman who inspired it all. I announced it with a grin, watching the room light up with laughter as the irony sunk in. It happened about 2 weeks after the charity gala. Right when I thought Sophie had finally gotten the message that she was now socially radioactive. But no, like a cockroach, she just kept crawling back. I was in my office, sipping a lavender latte because self-care is queen, reviewing proposals for a new project when my phone buzzed. Sophie. Honestly, I almost didn't pick up. But then I thought, why deny myself this entertainment? So I hit answer, popped her on speaker, leaned back, and enjoyed the show. Her voice was small. Quieter than I've ever heard it. Lana? Hey, it's Sophie. Wow. No kidding, Soph. I know we haven't talked in a while. Yeah, since I exposed you at my anniversary party, evicted you from Grandma's apartment, tanked your career, you know, the usual. She took a shaky breath. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I know I hurt you. I've had time to reflect, and I realize how much pain I caused. Oh, sweetie. She was reading straight from the script of remorse. The problem? I knew this wasn't about guilt. This was about damage control. Sophie wasn't reaching out because she wanted to make me feel better. She wanted her own life back. And I could hear the desperation clinging to every syllable. I let the silence stretch. 5 seconds. 10. Just long enough for her to squirm. Then I leaned forward and said, "That's very touching, Sophie." Her exhale sounded like relief. But then I added, "But what exactly are you apologizing for?" Dead. Silence. See, That's the thing about fake apologies. They fall apart under pressure. Sophie stumbled. I mean, the affair and lying and everything with Mark. Everything, huh? I said, my voice like a blade dipped in honey. Is that what we're calling it? Everything. She hesitated. I just thought maybe we could move forward. She tried again, voice cracking a little. It's been really hard, Lana. Oh, poor baby. Has it been hard getting blacklisted from your industry? Watching your reputation crumble? Cry me a river. I smiled, knowing she couldn't see it but feeling it anyway. Tell you what, Sophie, I said, folding one leg over the other. I'll accept your apology the day you return every opportunity you stole from me. The career leads I handed you. The trust you shattered. The love you tore apart. Her breath caught. And while we're at it, I added, you can make a $50,000 donation to the Empower Her Fund. It's only fair, since you inspired it. Dead. Silence. Finally, she croaked, I don't have that kind of money. I leaned into the mic. Neither do women starting over after betrayal, but they find a way. So should you. And then I hung up. I was honestly surprised it took Mark as long as it did. I mean, after the anniversary ambush, the financial freeze, the IRS investigation, and the media circus, I figured he'd show up sooner, hat in hand, ego bruised, begging for mercy. But apparently, even rock bottom took a while to find him. It was about 9 months post-party when the email landed in my inbox. Subject line, can we talk? I almost deleted it. But curiosity is a hell of a thing. So I opened it. Lana, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need to speak with you. It's important. Please, just one conversation. I owe you that much. Mark. Owe me? Oh, Mark. You owe me a hell of a lot more than that. I debated ignoring him. Ghosting felt poetic. But then I thought, why waste a good opportunity? So I replied, sure, Mark. One conversation. Be at the Gold Room at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Dress sharp. The Gold Room was a sleek little private lounge downtown, expensive, exclusive, the kind of place where Mark used to take clients to impress them. Now, he probably hadn't seen the inside of a decent restaurant in months. I booked it, fronted the deposit. Petty? Maybe. Worth it? Absolutely. When I walked in, I made sure to arrive exactly 5 minutes late. Fathomably cruel. Mark was already there, sitting at the bar, looking rough. His once perfect suit was wrinkled, the shine gone from his shoes, a shadow of the man who used to hold court in places like this. He stood when he saw me, that forced smile plastered on his face. Lana, you look amazing. Damn right I did. Tailored black jumpsuit, red lipstick that could cut a man down, and heels that screamed power. I sat down across from him, crossed my legs slowly, and said, Mark, cut the flattery. Why am I here? He fidgeted, tugged at his sleeves like they might stretch into something more respectable. I've been going through a rough time. Understatement of the century. My accounts are frozen. The IRS, they're bleeding me dry. No one will work with me. My partner's bailed. I'm losing everything. I tilted my head. Losing? Mark, sweetie, you've already lost. He winced, but powered through, clinging to whatever shred of dignity he thought he had left. I was wondering if there was any way you could help me. Just help me get back on my feet. Oh, honey. I let out a soft laugh. Help you? After you stole from me? Lied to me? Humiliated me? He looked away, jaw tight. I know I messed up. I leaned in, lowering my voice like we were sharing a secret. You destroyed our marriage. You cheated with my sister, stole my money, risked my business. And you think I'm going to save you now? His lips pressed into a line. I just need one chance. I smiled sweetly. Okay, here's your chance. His eyes lit up for half a second. Poor fool. I want you to write me a letter, I said, sipping my wine. A full confession. Every lie, every scam, every betrayal, written by hand. His face fell. Lana. Or I cut him off. You can keep spiraling into bankruptcy. Your choice. And just as he started to protest, I stood, grabbed my clutch, and added, And Mark? I'm not going to read it. I'm going to frame it. I left him sitting there, drowning in the ruins of his pride. Here's the thing about revenge. It's not just about the act. It's about the echo. The way it ripples out, again and again, reminding them of who they lost and who they can never touch again. And me? I made damn sure Mark, Sophie, and my parents felt that echo forever. After Mark's groveling at the gold room, I waited. 2 weeks later, a handwritten letter arrived at my office. I could tell by the smudged ink and rushed handwriting that Mark hated every second of writing it. Page after page of confessions. How he siphoned money from our joint accounts. The affair with Sophie. The exact investments he made behind my back. It was everything I wanted. But like I told him, I didn't even read it. I walked straight into my office, framed it behind non-glare museum glass, and hung it on the wall, right next to my Marketing Woman of the Year award. Every now and then, when I have a tough day, I glance at it and smile. A little reminder that I never needed him, but he'll always need me. Sophie? After I shut down her half-baked apology with the Empower Her donation demand, I never heard from her again. But occasionally I'll check LinkedIn because I'm human and see her floundering through entry-level jobs. Once I spotted her Instagram profile, a sad little attempt at a rebrand. Influencer no more. Just a girl trying to sell detox tea in a world that doesn't care. And my parents? They moved into a cramped 2-bedroom apartment across town. Their fancy dinner parties? Gone. Their social circles? Ghosted. Last I heard, they'd tried to spin the story about what happened. Something about family misunderstandings. But everyone knew. You don't come back from that kind of viral infamy. As for me? Well, I thrive. My business doubled in size. Clients poured in after the gala. Turns out, people love a woman who knows her worth. I bought a beach house, my little sanctuary. No drama. Just waves, wine, and peace. I still run Empower Her, and every time a woman tells me her story of rebuilding, I feel like I'm planting a middle finger right in the soil where Mark, Sophie, and my parents' respectability used to grow. And the final nail? 1 year to the day after the anniversary party, I sent Mark a card. Dear Mark, thank you for teaching me what I truly deserve. Warmest regards. Lana. No return address. Just closure. So, to anyone out there wondering if revenge is worth it? Yes. Yes, it is. But the best revenge? Building a life so good they have to choke on it. And me? I sleep like a baby,